Look at this. Look at this. I tell you, it's not a game, bro. I am your mans, Nic Rattlehead. And behind this camera is my mans with the master plan, 100 grand, sitting there chilling in California, man. My friend, my compadre, my amigo, Nic the Graff. And me and him would like to collectively welcome all of you to Aftershock Reviews, your place for the best extreme music reviews, man. And now we bring to you our special once a month series called Gateways. What this is these are albums that have sculpted our ears, right? These are albums that play pivotal points to us, right? These are albums that help put us along our way in our musical journeys. And how do we start this off? What album do we tackle first? I shall tell you. Thank you for asking. Antichrist Superstar by Marilyn Manson. This album was, when you talk about, for me in particular, trying to find out what is heavy and what is not. And then on top of that, when you get past the fact that, oh, it's just heavy, and you find out that there's a story behind this thing, when you find out that there is like scathing critiques behind this thing, right? When you find out that there's actual thought and care and the way that it's crafted behind this thing, right? Dude, it just opens up another window of opportunity to have great discussions with people, especially people who've listened to it, especially people who think differently from you, right? So let's get into it. But before we do, don't forget to hit the like button, man. Smash that like button, brother, because it helps with the YouTube algorithm and it shoots this video on up on the list when you type it in, bro. It's not a game. Also, if you're not subscribed to Aftershock Reviews, hit the subscription button and then hit the bell as well so you'll be notified when we drop reviews, bro. So let's get into the album real quick. I'll share personal stories at the end of the video. I just want you guys to get a grip of what this album is alike, right? So what this album is, it is a rock opera, right? The name comes from two sources. It comes from, and I hope I'm saying his name correctly, Friedrich Nietzsche's The Antichrist, which is a book that Manson was really deep into. He's really into the Nietzsche type philosophy, correct? And also it derives its name from Andrew Lloyd Webber's Jesus Christ Superstar, right? So what this album is, it is a concept album. And so far as the way it's released, it's the first of three, right? So we're saying Antichrist Superstar, Mechanical Animals, Hollywood. But when the trilogy was completed with Hollywood, Manson then revealed, oh, let me tell you something. The way that this narrative, this overarching narrative of these albums is actually supposed to be played is in reversed. So, which means Hollywood then comes first, then Mechanical Animals is sandwiched between the two, which it always has been. And then Antichrist Superstar is the actual pinnacle, the final chapter in this story. What is the story? No idea, but I know the story for this album. So the album is also split up into three cycles. These three cycles are the Hierophant. The second cycle is called Inauguration of the Worm. Third cycle is called Disintegration Rising. Now, Nic, cycles and stories, just quit beating around the bush. What's the story? I'll be glad to tell you. In an oppressed society, right, we have our character named the Worm, right? Now, the Worm is a part of this oppressed society who is being oppressed by, we would like to call, the beautiful people. But the Worm has had enough. The Worm is like, you know what? These guys, we are slaves to them. We are being oppressed by them. We are being held down by them. We shall stage an uprising. We're going to go after them, bro. It's not a game. And everything and all this ideology that's causing us not to be able to think for ourselves and causing us to be prisoners and captives, right? We're going to knock all of that down, overthrow them, and then we will be free. We shall be free. So what does he do, right? What does he do? He starts to shed his oppressed figure, his shy, scared, weak figure, right? Weakness is a thing. And he starts to become this very charismatic demagogue, right? Ooh, not a gay. You ain't know you knew SAT words, did you? Not a gay. So he becomes this very charismatic demagogue, right? And he starts to lead the people against the beautiful people, right? The oppressed, the weak, the downtrodden. He is now leading them against the high class society, the people who are beautiful, the people who are in charge of everything, right? Now, as he starts to tear all of this down, as he starts to rally the people, right? He succeeds. He finally succeeds. All of them gone. Get out my face. We ain't dealing with you no more, right? And he starts to look at the people, but now the people are starting to worship him like they worshiped the beautiful people. And then there's something that hits him. There's something that hits our worm, right? Well, we can't even call him the worm anymore. We'll call him Little Horn, right? Because there is an evolution here. And Little Horn starts to realize these people don't necessarily mind being oppressed, right? These people don't necessarily mind being stepped on, right? So what he finds out is everything that he was fighting against, the people actually wanted, right? They acted like they didn't, but they wanted. And this drives him insane. This throws him over the deep end. He's like, okay, fine. So you don't deserve to be rescued. Okay, cool. So you don't deserve to have your mind free. So I tell you what now, since y'all act like this, I'm just going to destroy everything that reminds me of this, everything that you are and that I am, that I've molded myself, because that's what he hates them and he hates himself. And he's like, I'm going to destroy everything, right? So now he becomes the Antichrist Superstar, this very confident, very arrogant, angry, pissed, and self-destructive monster, demon-like. He's like, everything's going down. And this, the climax, right? The pinnacle of our rock opera, so to speak, actually starts off our third cycle, Disintegration, with the title track to the album, Antichrist Superstar. And at this point, he has the armies of the world at his disposal, right? Which is why the title track sounds so totalitarian, right? It sounds so dictator-like, right? And it's like it's some deranged march. It's crazy. It's dope. And we start to see this man in his downward spiral as he's destroying everybody and everything, including himself, in sight. And then at this point, we start to get into songs like Minute of Decay, I'm on my way down now, I'd like to take you with me, right? We get into the Reflecting God, right? Where it's talking about how easily human life is disposable, right? Like it really shouldn't mean too much. Yet again, going back to Friedrich Nietzsche, right? And then we get to the last track, which is called Man That You Fear, which is just nothing but a retrospective of what got us to this point in the first place. It's like right before he closes his eyes, he's thinking about what led us to this point. It's a very somber moment for an otherwise crowded, sludgy, and disturbing album, right? And then we get especially if you bought the physical copy and if you heard it on CD first, right? You're going to get a long bit of silence, right? And to be correct, if you actually listen to this on CD, you'll notice that when you pop the CD into the CD player, it says 99 tracks. Right, so there's a long bit of silence, right? And the 99th track is actually untitled. And this is where our title character is taking his last breaths. He's dying. And he's talking about how they deserved everything that they got. Everything that they got. Their destruction, his destruction. I tried to save you, but you didn't want to be saved. I tried to help you. You didn't want to learn. I tried to help you, but you didn't want to turn a new leaf, so to speak, and start to think for yourselves. So I tore it all down. Everything. I even tore your gods down. All of that, it's gone. But it's going to happen again. Like, we're doomed to repeat this, so to speak, right? Which leads me to another great point when it comes to this album. The album is also, while it is in cycles, the cycles repeat, right? Because it bookends, so at the beginning and at the end, with a phrase called, when you are suffering, know that I have betrayed you, right? Which leads me to believe that there is another worm. There is another worm at this album who probably gets rid of him. And when this new worm figures out what this worm already knows, right? When he's killing, he's going to figure out what that worm already knows. He's going to just start to destroy everything. So it's like a never-ending cycle, right? We're doomed to repeat this, right? Deep stuff. It's great. When we're talking about singles, let's talk about The Beautiful People, which is also taken from a book by Marilyn Bender, right? And it's talking about society's obsession with beauty, right? And it's also, the song itself is also talking about like the oppression of the Christian right. You see what I mean? So, and how it dictates what society should be, right? And sometimes it even goes so far because it can get pretty romanticized, right? It even talks about how sometimes it can keep people from thinking for themselves. Like the big overarching thing is think for yourself. Like come to your own conclusion by your own means, right? And I think that is an honorable thing, right? And I think it's really cool, especially when it comes to this track in particular, because Irresponsible Hate Anthem for me is like a prequel for what's to come. The Man That You Fear that bookends it, that's at the end of it, is showing you how we got here. The Beautiful People is just giving you, yet again, kind of picking up where Irresponsible Hate Anthem left off, where it's introducing us now to our characters, and it's introducing us now to the overarching theme of this album, right? Another great song, Tourniquet, which has this dope, groovy, oh my gosh, bass line by Twiggy Ramirez. Oh my, and it's oddly sexy. It's oddly sexy because it's just, and it's slinky, right? And for me, you can easily see how people from like Youth Code, and you can easily see where, especially, oh my gosh, Chelsea Wolfe gets a lot of her inspiration from. When you hear Tourniquet, you go to listen to anything from Abyss or anything. Oh dear heaven, especially when Jess Gorey joined the group, and you go to listen to anything from His Spawn, or you listen to their new Mrs. Piss album, bruh, it's clear they were listening to this album. It was clear this is a big inspiration. And that bass line is chunky, it's fat, but it slinks, and it's eerily cool. It's so great. Another single, Cryptochid, right? Now, this one was a bit weirder to me, but I loved it because it slows things down. It's a weird off-putting march, right? And the video itself, even, I think it's taking a lot of visual cues from an art house film that was released in the 90s called The Begotten. Now, I'm not sure if they actually was able to get the director for it, because I think they did. But even the video, visually, this album is crazy. Visual from the 3 covers this album has. So like 1, 2, 3 covers this album has, when you're talking about the transformation from the worm to the disintegrator, right? And you're talking about, especially when it comes to the visual aspect to the actual narrative, and there's a parallel here. It's telling you the story visually, and it's telling you the story audibly, right? Even when it comes to the videos are stark, and the videos are off-putting, nightmare-inducing. Whether we're talking about the Beautiful People's video, which won, I think, 3 MTV Music Video Awards, whether we're talking about the disturbing imagery of Cryptochid, or the title track, which actually didn't even see an MTV release. We didn't see the actual music video for Antichrist Superstar until I think like 2010. It was insane. Like they just did not, MTV was like, this is too much. If MTV in the 90s told you your video is too much, let's go. I'm here for it. I'm all here for it. We also have like great hidden tracks like Kinderfeld, and we're talking about tracks like Tied Up, Dried Up, and Dead to the World. This is a very, very awesome album. I cannot stress enough, so far as its themes, the way that it's executed, there isn't a bad track on here. And usually when we're talking about gateway albums, we usually end up growing out of them, right? Or we think they're cool at the time, and then your ear matures, and then you're like, oh, I can't believe I listened to this. You know, a la Disturbed's The Sickness, or Evanescence's Fallen, or, I don't know, Breaking Benjamin's Phobia, right? All 3, hopefully, I would love to get to. So this album, though, has aged wonderfully. Yes, it can be a little bit cheesy. Yeah, it can be a little bit corny now. It's nowhere near as scary as it used to be. The boogeyman doesn't have the fangs it used to have. But when all of that fades and we're desensitized, the music still stands. The music is still good. I still remember the first time I encountered this album when I was in my homeboy's dorm room and they were playing Smash Brothers. I had my headphones on and I was listening to my homeboy Test music collection because he had iTunes. I didn't. I was still rocking a CD player. And Antichrist Superstar comes on and knocks my socks off. I didn't even know who it was. I was like, who in the Sam is this? And you go to see who it was, and all of a sudden you see the two words that, as a Christian choir boy from Alabama, you heard of them, but they scare the life out of you. Marilyn Manson. You're like, oh no. But the song was so good. So I listened to it again and again and again and again. And I kept it on repeat. And then I went and listened to The Beautiful People, because that's all my boy had on his laptop. He only had The Beautiful People, Antichrist Superstar. Oh, and he had Dope Show. So I was like, I have to go out. I have to go out and get this. I bought this album 3 times because the first 2 times I bought it, just having it in my possession scared the life out of me because of the name and because of who it was. But after a while, when you're able to start thinking for yourself and you're able to start going out and trying to figure out what the narrative of this album is, I think it's a good album. I think it's an amazing album, especially when you're talking about trying to spark conversations with people who might think a little bit differently from you. And I think it's a great conversation starter for people who are talking about, man, what are some great albums that got you into metal? Oh, well, let's talk about Marilyn Manson real quick. I love this show. I love this video. The name of this album, again, I know this album came out in 1996. It is 2020 now, right? So this album's pretty old, but at the end of the day, though, it holds up. It is great production. Trent Reznor's helping out a lot on this stuff as well. And I think that it is wonderful. I know sometimes when it came out, it had like the reputation of being like a poor man's ripoff of Nine Inch Nails. It is so much more than that. And it is aged gorgeously, right? So the name of this album, again, is called Antichrist Superstar by Marilyn Manson. Came out on Nothing Records in 1996. Go check it out. It's a wonderful listen. It's a wonderful listen. I am your man's Nic Rattlehead. And behind this camera is my man's with the master plan, 100 grand. I love you, my man. Tell him, what's your name? Not the Graff. And we are Aftershock Reviews, man. Remember, smash that like, subscribe to the channel. You can follow me, Nic Rattlehead, at _satellite989 on Instagram. You can also follow my man's Matt at Matthew__Vaughn on Instagram.com. Wash your hands. Support your bands. Peace.